Only leader of the gang.
I thought I was the leader. I'm the leader.
Oh yes, what a major act. Mr. Les Dennis. He'll be relentless quest for celebrities with a central connection brings us this week to Banbury Cross in Oxfordshire. But I'm not about to interview a fine lady upon a white horse. Instead, I'm going to be digging up the roots of a man who was born here in Banbury in 1944 as Paul Gadd. He changed his name constantly over the years as he grew up pursuing a musical career that seemed to be heading nowhere fast until 1972. That's when he became the leader, the one and only, yes, Gary Glitter. The rest, as they say, is rock and roll.
Show business was a dirty word. Suddenly, we started putting show business back into rock and roll. We wrote Rock and Roll Parts 1, and then we ran out of money to do the B-side. So Mike and I went back into the studio, Mike Leander, and we remixed the A-side, and I shouted, hey, 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 and all that stuff. In fact, I got nominated for the Best Songwriter of the Year award. The house that we're going to is where my grandmother lived, right. And we all lived. And the school, I used to go to the school across here, and this is where I reckon I was leader of the gang to begin with, because I was always having to handle myself with the kid. I can remember my initial reaction was, wow, I got hit. After 12 years of banging my head up against the wall, I finally got hit. Of course, at that moment, I didn't know what it would lead to. But that really didn't matter. It was a hit. I felt as if I'd won the Olympics. Having a record in the top 10 and everybody knowing about it was like my own gold medal. It seems so much smaller, but it always does, doesn't it, when you're a little kid?
Yeah, well, exactly.
And there was big steps, because I used to race up and down the steps, and I still do that in my concerts.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go in. This is going to be really weird for me.
Yeah, well,
come in, Gary, come in.
Well, thank you.
God, look how small it is.
Tiny. The attic room of the house.
Yeah, my brother and I, my younger brother and I used to sleep in here, and my older brother used to sleep in that room, which is even smaller around here. Look at that. And he always used to collect pennies, or leave the pennies on the side because of the change, and we used to nick all the pennies as much as possible, yeah. Can you imagine? There was a great garden. There's no garden.
No.
And, I mean, we used to have chickens and stuff like that.
And this, of course, used to be a guest house, as you said, or a sort of B&B type place. So did you have to be very quiet up in the attic? All the time. Because you had all guests below?
All the time. I mean, that staircase, you know, I always wanted to run up and down, you know, when you're 10 years of age. It's a great staircase, because, I mean, if you see my shows now, well, you have, you know that I always have a staircase, and I'm sure that's where it came from. This is what I've always wanted to do, without being told off. Okay, Gary?
Right, okay.
All right? Go!
At the foot of the stairs, Gary's earliest inspiration, his Uncle John, who went to America at the end of World War II and brought back head-turning, then exotic music, such as
railroad songs, blues numbers, all that kind of thing, the Jimmy Rogers stuff. Hank Williams, of course.
Hank Williams.
Was the one as far as I was concerned.
Do you remember Granny used to make us wear, you know, fancy dress costumes? I was Robin Hood. And always a pirate, still Robin the Rich. The fact that Uncle John became the centre of attention when he sang left a very deep impression on me. By the time I was about 7, he was playing rock and roll, and I was asking questions about music. Then a couple of years later, when my hands were big enough, he started teaching me the chords and how to pick out the tunes. I believe it was at that moment that I made up my mind to be a singer, because I don't remember wanting to do anything else. The very first time I went to London, there was about 8 of us, and we went to Bertram Mills Circus. And can you imagine how glamorous that was, to go in one of my mother's friends. His name was Uncle Stape, actually, and it was just so glamorous. All of us in a car like this. And we're going into the cattle market now. The Chicago of the Midwest, I call it. It's the biggest cattle market in Europe, actually.
Really?
But to me, What's great about it, and again, I'm just reflecting on it because I never realised it as a kid, but this is street theatre. You're watching people, you know, acting out a whole situation. If you listen quietly, you can hear the sound. It's all going on around you. You know, markets are very big on me. I used to sell newspapers up and down Croydon Market. You know. Start News the Standard! Start News the Standard! Get your paper here! Yep! And that's how I made the money to get my first guitar. And you learn a lot. Again, to me, it's theatre. It's pure theatre. It's all got that feeling, the same kind of atmosphere.
It's not intimate theatre either. It's out there. It's
yeah.
stuff.
Come and get it!
There's nothing subtle about it.
No, there's nothing subtle about rock and roll either. It's pure. Go for it, son. You know.
You famously became an alcoholic at that sort of peak of your success.
It was a way of life from a very early age, and it just crept on for 33 years. I just started drinking, and you drink more and more and more. And then, of course, when we had the 72 to 76 years, it was party time all the time at home. You know, there was more rock and roll off stage than there was on stage. It's nearly 7 years now since I've had a drink.
Yeah.
And I feel better now. I'm singing better. I'm writing better. See, when you drink so much, you lose touch with your emotions. You lose touch with adrenaline. I forgot what Paul Gadd was for a moment. I just needed to find out who I was. Well, that's the story so far. You ready to rock and roll? I said, are you ready? Are you ready to rock and roll?